Hello and welcome to Team 4's project. My name is Alyssa Barnes and I will kick off Team Abracadabra with the executive summary to explain the basis of our project, the career guidance tool. The goal of our project, in one sentence, is to identify which occupations are most appropriate for students graduating college and planning to work in Texas based on a combination and a variety of attributes. We have analyzed the data and come up with a variety of reports to provide the West Texas A&M University's Career Service Center. The data that we used came from the Federal Student Aid website along with the Texas Workforce Commission. We used this data and analyzed it through tools such as Tableau and Excel to help generate these reports. We had quite a few of key findings, which will be explained in greater detail throughout the report and throughout our presentation. Our key findings consist of the top 20 occupations in Texas based on projected growth rate, the top 5 regions in Texas, career clusters that were created as well. We also calculated ROI for the top 20 occupations, and lastly, the relevant concentration or major title for the top 20 occupations. As I previously mentioned, the goal of this project is to provide a report to West Texas A&M University's Career Services Center. This would be our actionable business recommendation. To provide the reports to assist prospective and graduating students seek a job based on the specific criteria. Our project is to allow the Career Services Center to simply review our reports and allow students to be informed of the growing careers, the top occupations, top locations to live and work based on regions in Texas, and ROI. Now, I will pass it off to Nicole to introduce our project in greater detail.
Thank you, Alisa, for going over the executive summary. This is Nikhil Raj Bandari, and I'll be covering the introduction to our project. As Alisa mentioned, our team collaborated with Career Services at West Texas A&M University to help them with the career trends with the help of data analytics. In our project, we followed the first 3 phases of CRISP DM process, which are business understanding, data understanding, and data preparation. In the business understanding phase, our team met with Samantha Green from Career Service to understand the requirement and decide what are we trying to deliver with data analytics. In our meeting, we understood that the Career Services wants to follow data-driven decision making and guide their students. So they requested us to provide information on following topics. First one, what are the top 20 occupations in Texas based on salary median, employment population, and the projected growth rate? Second, the projected growth rate for the top 20 occupations in Texas. Third, what are the top 5 regions in Texas which have high earning wage and projected growth rate? The fourth one, to calculate the return on investment for the top 20 occupations. And the fifth, finding the career clusters or identifying the career clusters that have both high and low projected growth rate and experienced median salary. And finally, we need to be able to recommend the degree programs that help students in finding jobs for top 20 occupations in Texas. For the next 2 phases of CRISP DM process, which are data understanding and data preparation, we have gathered the data from the Office of the U.S. Department of Education Federal Student Aid and Texas Workforce Commission for the previous years. For the tools, we have used Excel and Tableau to understand and prepare the data. These phases of CRISP DM are also covered in greater detail in the next few slides. After our analytics using Excel and Tableau, we were able to deliver the tabular data of top 20 occupations in Texas, tree maps reporting return on investment, which provides details like how much returns the student makes for every dollar invested in the college tuition fees, packed bubbles to show the career cluster based on the projected growth rate and experience median salary. Horizontal bar charts that projects the growth rate for the year 2026. And finally, the Texas map view to display the top 5 regions in Texas based on the projected growth rate. With this data, career services can confidently guide the students and help them in planning their career. And the research method that we followed is covered in greater detail by Chad in the next slide. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nikhil, for that introduction. I'm Chad Kistner, and I'll go over the research methods used on our project. Our research began by evaluating different data sets to determine a data set that will work best for our project. We determined that we will use secondary data analysis by compiling data from the Labor Market and Career Information Department of Texas Workforce Commission, the Office of U.S. Department of Education Federal Student Aid, and Massachusetts Institute of Technology. After reviewing the data, we were able to develop research topics of interest for West Texas A&M University and students. Go Bucks! Our domain for this project is focused on talent and educational analytics. The project is oriented towards descriptive analytics to describe the variables for students to consider when searching for a career in Texas. Lucrative, in-demand careers is the unit of analysis. The target variables we chose to include are occupations in Texas, median salary, quantity of jobs, expected job growth, regions in Texas with high salary and growth, educational background of occupations, and return on investment. The benefit of using analytics in this project is that it will provide an innovative way for West Texas A&M to separate itself from other universities by providing the Career Resource Center a tool to guide students into an educational field based on the career data. The students can use the research to evaluate the different career options and locations in Texas to help determine their career after school. Next is a manual to dig into the data descriptions.
Thank you, Chad, for going over the research method section. I will quickly go over the data description section of the project. We initially considered using the occupational employment statistic data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics as our main data set, which comprises of all the states in America, their respective occupations, and their mean, median, and max wages. But analyzing that dataset led us through a complicated path that made our project seem incoherent. So we decided to focus on Texas, which was our main goal initially. That led us to the Texas Labor Analysis website, where we found the datasets we used for the project, called Occupational Detailed Report. The second dataset, called Academic Year 17 Disbursement by Program, helped us to put together the annual debt incurred per student based on concentration on major title. See the table below. There are three main information groups for the academic debt data: categorical, statistical, and accounting information. The attributes names are also provided in the image. However, the most important one is at the bottom. We called it annual debt incurred per student. We computed this attribute ourselves by dividing the loan disbursements by the number of recipients. You will also notice that the attribute types are mainly nominal and ratio based. Back to the occupational detailed report. The information groups are also divided into three. They are the categorical, statistical, and occupational information. Attributes like SOC code, SOC title, and other attributes like employment, entry, and experience level wages are all from the same Bureau of Labor Statistics OES data. By the way, SOC stands for Standard Occupational Classification Code. The best thing about this Texas labor analysis dataset is it combines the Bureau OES data with the Bureau employment projection data, all in one dataset. Attributes like employment projections, change in employment, percentage change, and every other attribute that says change are from the same Bureau employment projection data. But like I said, Texas already combined them into one dataset for simplicity's sake. Note, attribute types in these datasets are discrete, continuous, ratio, and binary. Also note, this dataset was divided into regions to make it easy to import into Tableau for analysis. This will be discussed further by Stephanie.
My name is Stephanie Vestal and I will be walking you through our data preparation process. After finally finding the right data sets for our project, the data cleansing process began. As you can see, numerous rows of data from the occupation detail reports had null values, or not applicable in this case. So it was necessary to remove these rows right away as to not skew any average or median calculations. The next step was to remove those attributes that were either irrelevant or redundant, like the change in employment by exits, growths, and transfers. While these are great data points, they were not part of our focus for this project. Once we decided what data points we wanted to use and how we wanted to use them, we found that we were in need of more information, such as how many years does an average adult work after graduating college, and what is the average cost of living in Texas. Due to the many variables that are necessary to provide good, solid answers to these questions, we decided to make a few assumptions based on data we found from sources like MIT and the Houston Chronicle. As you can see, these assumptions include that after college, adults work for another 40 years, and annual wage growth is 3.2%. The complexity of the ROI formula we decided on, as well as some calculations missing in our other data sets, forced us to create calculations in Tableau and Excel. The image shows the numerous calculations we used to ensure the accuracy of the ROI formula, which took the entry-level wage, increased it by 3.2% each year for 40 years. We then subtracted the cost of living over 40 years and divided that by the total debt incurred per student, which was determined by using years of college needed to earn the degree for that occupation multiplied by the annual debt incurred per student. After finding the perfect occupation dataset for Texas, we found that each region's dataset had to be downloaded separately from the Texas Labor Analysis website. In order to use all 28 of these spreadsheets, it was necessary to union them all in Tableau. In order to differentiate these datasets, Tableau creates a table name attribute, which is based on a workbook or sheet name. In this dataset, this was the name of each region. In order to join or blend the data between datasets, we use two methods in Tableau. In the top image, you can see where we use the inner join on SOC code to add ROI data to the attribute descriptions. The bottom image allowed us to do the same inner join using SOC code, but in a way that allowed us to choose when we wanted to combine sets. We could use the ROI, academic, or occupation detail reports individually, or use one or more of the datasets as a secondary source with the join. The last step in the process, and the most fun in my opinion, is to start using the data to create visualizations to find answers to questions you haven't even asked yet. Next up is Rena, who will go into more detail on the answers we found using Tableau.
Thank you, Stephanie, for the insight to data preparation, and that definitely helps to explain the results we see as part of our data analytics using Tableau visualization. Hi all, I'm Rena Anthony, and I'm here to provide further insight into the results that Tableau has generated based on key attributes that we selected as success criterion for our career guidance tool. Thanks to our team effort, we have been able to answer few questions that the College Career Services had. To begin with, what are the top 20 occupations in Texas? To identify the most in-demand occupations in Texas projected from 2017 to 2026, we use the attributes salary median, projected growth rate, and employment population. Considering the highest value of each attribute, it was found that Texas employs the largest number of actuaries. Next, software programmers, followed by construction managers, topped the list. Statisticians were among the last of top 20, which is surprising as statistics is a core course for actuarial science. This could possibly be because both have different business functions that serve different business purposes and hence the difference in salary median. The next question interesting to students were, what is the expected job growth in Texas? The attribute we consider to generate this output are projected growth rate percentage. The highest projected growth rate percentage is considered as the largest difference between the current employment population percentage and projected employment population percentage. The results indicate general and operations manager jobs have the highest projected growth rate percentage, indicating there could be a sudden surge in the number of employment opportunities as time passes by, probably due to requirement to have experienced managers to control functional aspects of different administrations in every industry. However, projected growth rate percentage is comparatively lower for construction managers, probably because as time passes, land availability for new constructions are reduced due to new projects currently being built. Also, one can identify that statisticians and actuaries do indicate a higher projected growth rate percentage, but there is no significant increase in employment population as the years pass by, and this could be because these job roles already exist in most industries. Another interesting question was, what are the top 5 regions in Texas that have an elevated employment population? The attributes we selected were based on highest 2026 projected employment, highest entry-level wage of 2017, highest experience level wage of 2017, and highest projected growth rate. This helps students to identify where to focus to search and settle down, making it easier to apply for jobs. And definitely North Central Texas, identified to be the best region to make it to top 5. But when a student who considers the higher experience level wage that could be attained over the years, they may consider Dallas region due to its higher projected employment rate, though the projected growth rate is not significantly as high as compared to North Central region. Another interesting question that students normally try to find out is, what occupations in Texas gives me the highest return on investment? The tableau tree map that illustrates return on investment are created based on the attributes that were explained as part of data preparation by Stephanie. The dimensions used to calculate ROI was chosen as such considering how much would a person earn over his 40 years working for every dollar he spent as part of his college expense or debts. Dental hygienists with an associate degree have the highest ROI over the working years of the individual. It is surprising to see the ROI being the least for physician assistants who have a master's degree, probably because of a higher debt incurred over more number of years being a student where high tuition is involved. Forecasting the ROI is definitely an important criterion in decision making for many students. What degrees could support the top 20 occupations, and actually does pursuing higher education help? The results generated are based on concentrations or majors that would tie into the occupations, degree type, least annual debt incurred per student, and highest ROI. Again, dental hygienists top the list requiring only an associate's degree. It can also be noted that pursuing higher education beyond a bachelor's degree does not increase the ROI or the entry-level wage or justify the annual debt incurred by the student during his course year. However, in the medical domain, pursuing higher education, for example, nursing with master's degree, increase the entry-level wage with a reasonable ROI over the working years. How can we cluster jobs based on projected growth rate? Tableau by default performs k-means clustering, and the attributes that were used were projected growth rate and median experience level wage. The clusters are created using bubble visuals on the actual data presented in the dataset. Bigger the size of the cluster indicates how the jobs are clustered based on projected growth rate percentage, and darker the cluster indicates clustering based on the median value of the experienced level wage. Health science clusters has the highest projected growth rate percentage. STEM clusters indicate the highest median experience level wage. Since students are keen on landing a job based on median experience level wage or based on an increased number of jobs over the years, these attributes were considered for clustering process as part of the unsupervised data mining technique. What are career clusters based on projected growth rate? By clustering career industries based on current employment, and projected growth rate percentage, students can identify that hospitality and tourism would top the list among the top 20 careers, whereas arts, audio and video technology and communications has the lowest rank among the top 20. If the return on investment as well as the annual debt incurred by the student is not a criterion for the student to determine which career path they should choose, these career industry clusters could help students make quicker choices. To summarize, these visualizations can help students or decision makers make informed, actionable decisions, especially when they can be confident that these reports are telling stories based on true data. These help students to identify high-paying jobs and the career paths to consider if they were looking to settle down in Texas as part of their strategic career planning. I know we had a couple of discussions on what are some of our key challenges as part of this project, and I'm sure Sachin will be able to enlighten you about them. Over to you, Sachin.
Thank you, Reena, for the excellent review of the results of our analysis. Hello, my name is Sachin Gangupantula, and I'd like to summarize key conclusions of our data analysis project and provide opportunities to make this project even more valuable. The purpose of this data analysis is to enable West Texas A&M Career Services Center to assist students to be informed of the growing careers in the state of Texas. The project itself is a reporting tool for career navigation, helping students choose an appropriate career path based on the choice of their discipline and the location of their interest. Our recommendation to the Career Services Center is to leverage this analysis to educate prospective students on the importance of graduate programs and help them with mapping out the top 20 job clusters to existing college programs. Here are our key conclusions. Our median entry-level salaries for the top 20 occupations range from $48,769 to over $123,000. It clearly confirms the fact that college and graduate level education gives the students higher earning potential. Our largest projected growth rate is across STEM, information technology, health sciences, and human services. 7 of the top 20 occupations are in the healthcare industry, with an entry-level salary starting from $55,000. Top 5 of the 20 occupations in Texas are general and operations manager, construction managers, software developers, medical and health services managers, and dental hygienists. In terms of an ROI, the dental hygienist program delivers $170 for every dollar invested in the education. The report itself provides the ROI for each of the top 20 occupations, helping the students choose an appropriate career of their interest. We did come across limitations during the course of this project. 2 of the most important ones are the lack of the student debt data matching the regions that we've used for our analysis. This clearly has an incomplete picture for us in terms of showing the data that reflects all of the attributes consistently. Additionally, the current employment, the job forecasts, and salary data did not provide a gender breakdown. As a future opportunity, we feel that data sets that can incorporate these 2 sets of important attributes can provide a much more overarching visualization and accurate data for students in mapping out their career paths. We thank you for the opportunity to present this project.